Here's a build to try, One Down Dodge. Since its release, One Down has been a tricky difficulty to find a meta for. Generally speaking, the idea is you'll want as many players with Inspire and Doctor Bags as possible. With the sheer damage output cops possess on this difficulty, not to mention the deep health pool to back this, being downed frequently is a complete inevitability. As a result, some players, myself included, choose to accept that rather than try to outright prevent it. Due to this, I've made a build that, while giving a solid attempt at preventing death, will also make it a non-issue and even a boon in most cases. Let's check out my skills. In Mastermind under Medic, you'll grab Basic Combat Medic, then Ace Quick Fix, Combat Doctor, and Inspire. As I mentioned earlier, Inspire and Doctor Bags are crucial for any of the higher difficulties, but particularly so on One Down. Your teammates are going to be falling down a lot, and when you help them back up again, you're going to be their friend and patch them back up so they can fall back down without going into custody. After that, pop over to Controller and get Basic Forced Friendship, followed by Aced Confident, Joker, and Partners in Crime. There's no denying it, Jokers are busted as hell on One Down. With these skills, you can suddenly have two of these ridiculously spongy tanks drawing fire away from your team, not to mention outputting a fair amount themselves. If every heister in your crew has these same skills, you suddenly have 8 extra bodies on the field, turning the odds pretty damn well in your favor. Moving on to Enforcer quickly, stop by Tank and grab Aced Resilience and Basic Bullseye, standard in most builds. Afterwards, swing by Ghost, go under Artful Dodger and Ace Duck and Cover, grab Basic Parkour and Inner Pockets, Ace Shockproof, and finally get Basic Sneaky Bastard. This is all standard dodge stuff, and the Taser immunity is an immense help. Despite being a dodge build, we're actually going to skip out on getting low blow, as the weapons we'll be using both don't need and can't use crits respectively. Finally, in Fugitive under Revenant, ace every single skill here except for Up You Go, which you'll just get the basic version of. This is due to the 40% health increase upon revival being effectively useless, as one bullet will still kill you regardless. As for the rest of the skills here, these are what I'm referring to when I said this build tries to make death a non-issue. Whenever you go down, you'll have 9 seconds of infinite ammo, can revive yourself fairly easily, and get multiple buffs for several seconds once you're back on your feet. Not to mention Ace 9 lives turning 1 down into 2 downs, so to speak, greatly reduces Doctor Bag expense. For perks, we'll be using Rogue to get the maximum dodge benefit and faster weapon swap. Be sure to equip a suit for this build, of course. Now for weapons, you'll be needing 2 DLCs for this build. I'll make a DLC-less version in the future, but for now, you'll need to have the Gauge Chivalry Pack and Wolf Pack DLC. These may seem like odd choices for sure, but after playing with the weapons for a while, it'll start to make sense. Toss your guns out the window and embrace your new Light Crossbow Overlord. Slap a concealment boost on and you're good to go. This weapon does not need any skills to be a head-popping machine, and has incredibly high concealment to boot. Pair this crossbow with the China Puff Grenade Launcher, modded with the concealment boost and the Riot Stock. With these 2 weapons, you can reach 7 detection risk. While this isn't quite enough to get the maximum benefit of Basic Sneaky Bastard, you're only losing out on a single point of dodge. While it would be nice to have, the China Puff is absolutely worth the loss. 3 powerful area of effect blasts for clearing corridors quickly, and that's not even mentioning the power you can unleash with it during Swan Song. These weapons may not seem practical on the surface, but the crossbow can kill any enemy with a headshot, save extreme cases like bulldozers, bosses, SWAT turrets, etc. For melee, you'll want to bring the electric brass knuckles to make acquiring Jokers a less daunting task. And finally, for throwables, you have a few options. I'd recommend the concussion grenades to stun crowds of enemies and make a push. However, since you already have the Chivalry Pack, you could also bring the javelins. I'll get to why later. So, how does this build work? Well, to understand the build, you'll also have to understand One Down. Obviously, as the name implies, you can only be downed a single time before graying out and needing a Doctor Bag. However, our skill set allows for 2 downs instead, so you'll want to avoid death for as long as you can. That's good advice in general, actually. Cover is king. Stick to it like glue, keep your head down at all times. Dodge will only save you some of the time, and the times it doesn't, you'll already find yourself in Swan Song. The only way to prevent this is to take cover. Hide behind anything you can and quickly eliminate or corrupt any targets that push through. An effective strategy is to hide behind cover close to its edge, and when an enemy comes around the corner, slap them with an electric strike. That will keep them still for an easy headshot or make for a quick hostage. From that point, you can either leave them as an asset or convert them for an ally. Get both Jokers as quickly as you can. They'll stick around for a long time, in fact sometimes too long, getting themselves stuck in a corner somewhere useless. Even if one of them dies, you'll get another one just as easily. Now, when you do need to break cover, make your trips in the open very brief. If you have any available, you could always toss out a few concussion grenades to mitigate the hail of bullets before making a mad dash to your objective. As for your weapons, it may take a while to get used to the light crossbow, but once you're into the swing of things, you can easily headshot enemies at most distances. All basic enemies will die in a single shot to the head. I'd recommend turning on the setting to draw contours around throwables, as this will highlight arrows you fired, making it much easier to retrieve them and keep your ammo count high. You have the tools to deal with most special enemies. If you're tased, simply press your interact key to stun them, allowing you to line up a very simple headshot. Shields can be blasted away by the China Puff, medics are, again, an easy kill with a crossbow bolt to the skull. Snipers are a bit trickier, requiring aiming higher than usual to compensate for the arrow's drop-off. Cloakers are also complicated, but if one charges at you, strike them with electricity to stop them in their tracks and... Oh, bulldozers are difficult. I'd recommend breaking their faceplates with the China Puff and then either attempting to fire a few arrows into their face, or alternatively, javelins if you brought them. One well-placed javelin to their exposed face will net you a kill, just be careful while doing so. In the event you do die, don't panic. You're now in Swan Song, meaning you can do one or more of a few things. The most obvious option is to swap to the China Puff and unload a hail of grenades on your enemies. You could also use the time to sprint to cover, or at the very least get within Inspire range of a teammate. Another option is to fire your crossbow into the ground at your feet over and over. As you're in Swan Song, you're not expending any ammo. However, you're also able to pick the arrows you fire back up. Therefore, you create free ammo for yourself for 9 seconds. Often, you'll find yourself using Swan Song to complete tasks. You've got 9 seconds of invincibility to everything except tasers. So, for instance, assuming you could survive a full second beforehand, you could use the time to repair a drill. And finally, you can use it to prepare yourself to get back up. Once you've gotten knocked down, there's a 40% chance you'll get up again. However, there's a 60% chance that the cops are going to keep you down. So, unless a teammate is available to inspire you, you'll need to use Messiah to get back up. That means you need to score a kill without going into full bleed out. An effective way to do this is to use Swan Song to kill all but one of the enemies around you. Then, take that enemy hostage. Once Swan Song ends, if Feign Death doesn't kick in, you can safely kill the hostage to trigger Messiah and revive yourself. Bear in mind, Messiah only has one charge before needing to be replenished with the use of a doctor bag. As soon as you find yourself being down twice, book it to the nearest doctor bag or throw one down at your feet if you're desperate. You are not able to heal yourself after Swan Song has started, but if you're already in the process of using a doctor bag and then get Swan Songed, so long as you don't let go of the interact key, you can heal yourself and get your 2 downs back. With all that said, I'll give you a few more tips. While there's no need to get downed, if you are, make use of it, then get yourself off the ground. And finally, stay with your team. You can't always save yourself, and even if you can, sometimes your team will need to be saved themselves. Hopefully, this build will help you finally get that 1 down mask. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.